What are you thinking after that first loss?
This is some welcome back for Hearts, but Celtic have flopped again.
Yeah, it's their Achilles heel, and it's hurt Postecoglou yet again.
And Hearts have done it, and Hearts have won it. A remarkable return to the Scottish Premiership for them. But another sorry story for Celtic.
Yeah, look, firstly, great credit to Celtic, because like you said,
yes,
this is a massive institution. They knew whatever decision they made in terms of manager was going to come under scrutiny. So for them to take a punt like they did on a guy who they knew, I mean, when they're going to present this person as the next manager of one of the most famous football clubs in the world, they're going to get a hell of a lot of incoming scrutiny, criticism, call it whatever you like. But
which they did.
They did. But I got the feeling as soon as I spoke to them that they'd done their research. You know, I think they were confident, particularly Dermot and the previous CEO Peter Lawwell, that they knew enough about me and my career and what I was about that I could handle what was coming in, and I think they felt really confident, because it's the only way they would make a decision like that. You know, when you're taking such a risk going away from what's conventional in terms of managerial appointments, you got to have some real faith in what you're doing, and I think they had that, and I think they sensed that in me as well, which is probably why they gave me the opportunity. Because I remember, and talking to Dermot now, he said the thing that clinched it for him at the time was he asked me a question during the interview. Obviously, they'd been through the whole Eddie Howe thing where, you know, he's a fantastic manager. He's obviously manager of Newcastle now in the Premier League, but he really wanted to bring a whole group of people along with him and staff-wise, because he knew it was going to be such a big job. And in the end, I think that was the sticking point. He just couldn't get the people he wanted, and he didn't want to do the job because he didn't feel he could do it justice. And I remember, you know, Dermot, and I knew the background of that, and Dermot sort of asked me, well, Ange, what do you need, you know, for us to get you across? And I said, just me, mate. Just, I'll come across, I'll do it. And I think that's what kind of clinched it for him, because he said, okay, this guy, he backs himself. He rated that. And so when I got across, as you said, I knew it was incoming. And I remember one of the, again, being the Aussie I am, I think I probably sort of in the first press conference sort of set the tone as to how I was going to do business, because I think the first question I got was, well, you know, how do you feel about being second choice, you know? And I kind of answered with, well, you're assuming I was second choice. I could have been fifth choice, mate. You got no idea.
I'll ask this question as delicately as I can. I hope you won't take offence by it. The club spoke to another candidate before turning to you. On the face value, perhaps you weren't their first choice. Does that put you out, or does that act as extra motivation to prove them right now?
No, I mean that was very delicate the way you did put it. So no. I mean, you know, you're assuming I was second choice. I might have been fifth choice. I don't know, but it doesn't really bother me. I mean, what's important is that I've been given the responsibility and the opportunity.
As I liked how you got nice and punchy early with the local press, Ange.
So they knew that what they were in store for, and again, I knew, like everywhere I've been, there's always kind of, because I try and do things a little bit differently, particularly with the way the team plays, that there's always a bit of a rocky start. I love that period. I back myself during that time, but I also know it's the most intense time where the pressure's on. And at a club like Celtic, you're amplifying that, you know, by 1,000,000% when you're talking about one loss. Like I said, you know, I've had to leave the country because we lost our first game in a year, mate. So,
people get to understand. Like, you lost the first, you won the second game. I think it was 6-0. But back to your mate Kev Muscat. If you drop the first, this is probably, you tell me, but if you drop the first 4 games of the season, like, you could lose your job. It's that quick.
Yeah.
You're not getting half a year. You could get a month.
Yeah. No. So we lost 3 of our first 6.
A remarkable return to the Scottish Premiership for them. But another sorry story for Celtic. And that is that. New season, same old scenario on Derby Day in Glasgow.
So there was two ways of looking at it. You know, as you said, most people will be going, well, if you lose 1 more or 2 more. Now, I never felt that. Yeah, I felt the club was going to support me, and during that early period, to be fair to them, like particularly Dermot and the key people in there, Peter Lawwell, they were really supportive. Like they were all over me. They were saying, Ange, don't worry about it. We can see what you're trying to do. We're going to stick fat with you. You'll turn it around. We really believe it. So that gave me real sort of comfort. And even the supporters, to be fair to them, even though we lost 3 of the first 6, they weren't on my back. They could see what I was trying to do, and they were fairly supportive. But the reality of football, particularly in today's world, is that if you don't get the results, that pressure inevitably, at some point, people break and decisions are made. That's how everyone was thinking. What I was thinking about, I've lost 3 of the first 6. I want to win the championship this year. I can't lose any more games. I was that determined to bring success to the football club in the first year, because I knew that the previous year, Celtic had won 9 titles in a row. We're going for the 10th, which has never been done before, and it ended up being a disastrous year for a number of reasons, and it didn't end in winning anything, not even the cup, any of the cups. That's going from winning 3 trebles in a row to nothing. And I've taken over. I said, I can't give them another year of nothing. I'll be given this unbelievable opportunity. I'm not going to let that happen. So I've lost 3 of the first 6. I've gone, you know what, in any given year to win a title, you can't lose more than 4 games. It's impossible. You know, Rangers were really strong. They'd gone the year before undefeated. So that shows you how the margin for error, how small it is. So whilst at that time people are going, oh, he's going to lose his job, I'm thinking, I can't lose any more games here because I want to win this thing. And, I think it was the 7th game. We played Aberdeen away and we won, and we hadn't won away from home for a while, not only with me in the first sort of 6 games, but in the previous season. And that was when we got over the hump. Then I got the belief from the players. The punters were right behind me, and I felt this surge that, okay, we could do something special, but knowing that we had to be perfect. We didn't lose a game for the rest of the year. So we had to be literally perfect for us to achieve what I wanted to. So I guess, just going back to your original question, that's the external thinking. Internally, I was thinking about how I'm going to win this thing, not whether I'm going to keep or lose my job,
So to give people an idea of scale, when you're coaching Brisbane Roar, off the top of your head, what was the salary cap generally for Brisbane Roar?
Oh, we were probably working at around 2 million at the time, maybe a bit less, yeah.
In Japan, Yokohama, what's your salary cap?
Yeah, you're probably 5 times that, at least, maybe a bit more.
So 10, 12 million Australian.
Yeah.
Celtic?
Yeah.
What's the number?
No, it's a bigger number, mate.
Ballpark number.
Oh, yeah, probably get another 5 times at least of that. So
$50 million wage bill.
Well, not so much the wage bill, but just in terms of transfers since I've been there, we've probably spent between 30 and 40 million since I've been there. Right?
What's the most you spent on a player?
I think the highest we've paid is we re-signed Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers for around 7 this year. So,
is that you? Who comes up with the number? Like, you say, I want the player.
I don't get involved in the sort of financial negotiations, but I know we could try and target players who are going to fit into that scale. So you kind of know, but there's always negotiations, and we have people at the club, sort of, my CEO, Michael Nicholson, he kind of looks after that department, thankfully, for me. It is, but in European terms, it's not, mate. We're still, in terms of the big clubs and particularly in the Premier League these days, it's just the way sport's going. Well,
what was Real Madrid putting out on the table when you played there?
Yeah, who knows, mate? I'd hate to think. But, the beauty of that, again, is that my experience and my upbringing set me up in good stead because, like you said, here, I had to work with salary caps. I had to work with, restricted lists in terms of foreigners. So, for me to get the right players, mate, I had to be really creative and I had to be really good at it, And those skills I learnt. So you go then to a place where you've got more resources, you've got more money. I was really confident that I could nail it, that I've got the skill set to get the right players in. And that was a big part of it when you spoke about the early part was that my first signings at the club, my first real signing was sort of Kyogo Furuhashi, who I brought over from Japan. And I was so keen to get him because I knew it'd be a hit. But again, he's somebody who's totally unknown to sort of European football. So, my first few signings hit the ground running, really good, became fan favourites almost overnight. That helped me as well because even though the results weren't there, they're going, well, he's definitely got an eye for a player, which kind of helps you in that process of earning trust because that's what it is. It's just about earning trust. Initially I had the trust of the key decision makers, stakeholders of the club.
Yeah.
Then eventually, I got the trust of the supporters because they could see what I was doing. And then the final piece of the puzzle is you get the trust of the players who you're sending out there to do the job for you.
lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party.